tonight. We have quite a crowd, old and new, and it's great to see you all here tonight. We're going to have a presentation by Ken Elbridge of the Great Meadows Conservation Trust. They go by GMCT. He's a naturalist for them, and he's going to be talking on bald eagles. So Ken, I'll let you take it now. Thank you.
Thank you. As far as naturalist goes, that might be too big a word for me. I'm just a person that does field research. Simply said, going out and looking and seeing what's going on in nature. My lady and I have come to do is look at bald eagles. I've been a member of the Bald Eagle Study Group for the past 10 years, which is simply going out and observing nests. Specifically, I'm going to be talking about the Rocky Hill nest and the Cromwell nest. I live in the town of Cromwell, so easy trek to go check out one. I grew up in the town of Rocky Hill, so I can go see mom and dad and visit the eagles at the same time. So, but to start off with, I'd like to get present a little bigger scope as far as some little simple facts or factoids, whatever you'd like to call them, about the bald eagle. Okay, length is height. Estimate around 31 inches or so, but that can vary, a couple inches plus or minus. Same thing with the wingspan, can be from 78 inches up to 90 inches. The weight is obviously the same thing, plus or minus a couple pounds and stuff. At the end here, for all you ladies, yes, the lady is bigger and superior to the male. The little plus minus thing goes. The only time you can probably see that difference if you have the male and female perched right next to each other. Then it's pretty easy and obvious to see that that's how you identify the male and the female. Other simple little facts about them. Average years, lifespan, 20 to 30. They say some in captivity, can go live it to as long as 35. There was one actually in New York that lived to be 48 years old. Simple little body temperature thing, 102. They can fly as high as 10,000 feet. Different variations of speed. They say this and that between 18 and 25, and some have it at this and that. But what I'm going to be talking about here is just what I've seen, what I know, and think of things that I've observed through my experience seeing bald eagles that I would theorize and not necessarily all the time use as fact. There aren't too many facts I'm going to be talking about. A lot. Why didn't this nest have chicks this year when the previous 5 they had two or three and sometimes 1? I don't know. Nobody knows. We have theories on the amount of rainfall, temperature, and so on and so forth, food supply and everything like that. So I'll be touching on some of my thoughts about what the nests, the Rocky Hill and Weathersfield nests have in common, or don't have in common. Okay, let's see. Simple things. The bald eagle has been doing much better the past 15, 20 years. Since, 72, when the United States and all companies and so on and so forth stopped using DDT. That obviously has helped out because the DDT, the fish had the pesticide in it. The eagles ate the fish. The eagles ate the fish. The fish produced the eggs. The eggs had very thin shells and were very fragile. Crack, boom, no offspring. So, like I said, in 72, we stopped using that, and ever since then, things have been getting better and better and better for the bald eagle. Let's see, here's a silly one. National symbol was the bald eagle in 1782. Bald eagles have an estimated 7,000 feathers. Don't ask me who was counting that one up. So it was dead, and you plucked them all up, and some okay. Bald eagles are doing well enough now where in 2007, the Interior Department took them off the endangered species list. They're still protected by the Migratory Bird Act and the Bald Eagle and the Golden Eagle Protection Act. Let's see, here's a little one for you. Florida eagle nests I don't know if this would be, here's another one. Is this the largest bald eagle nest ever? Who knows? In Florida, there was one found that was 9 feet wide, 20 feet tall, this way, and 4,000 pounds. Simple way that gets that way is because eagles keep on using the nest and using the nest and just pile more and more and more and more twigs, hay, turf, whatever they can find into a nest, and just building on it every year. I can say the one that was used from 2008 to 2003 is still presently, 2003 to 2008 is still presently there. That was mighty, mighty big in a cottonwood tree, about 50 feet, 60 feet up, and you could tell it was that large. You would have grass and other shrubs growing out of the bottom of it. It became that large. So as far as 9 feet, I don't know if that's the biggest. Like I said, it doesn't say it's a world record because we don't know. Bald eagles are just in North America, maybe a little south of Mexico, all the way north to Alaska and into northern Canada and so on and so forth. The largest contingency of eagles is up in Chilkat, on the Chilkat River in Alaska, where there are thousands and thousands of them all the time, especially since DDT has been banned. All right, we'll move along here. I just gave the people at the Quabbin Reservoir a call this afternoon. And anybody been to the Quabbin Reservoir?
Yep.
Okay, very good. Big reservoir, 18 miles long. The gentleman told me that there were 10 to 12 territories. Territories are, this would be a territory. One bald eagle area, nothing too close, nothing too far. Approximately on the Connecticut River, as you can see the markings here. This is the Connecticut River. And they go up the Connecticut River on the average. This is the newest one up in Windsor Locks. On the average between 6 to 8 to 10 miles apart. That would be a territory. Of course, I say that 8 to 10 to 12 miles apart. And the gentleman at the Quabbin Reservoir said today that there were 2 nests within a quarter mile of each other that produce young. He said they worked well and everything is comfortable and good. My theory on that is if the food supply is there, everybody's happy, no problems, we aren't squabbling, we aren't getting in fights, and I'm sure if the food supply was short, it wouldn't be a quarter mile. Out of those 10 to 12 territories, 6 of those territories were successful, meaning that they mated, they had eggs, and produced young. Out of those 6 successful nests, 11 fledglings came. 11 bald eagles were produced out of that. And out of one of those successful nests, one of them had 3 chicks, which is becoming more and more common with 3 chicks. They have 3 eggs. Max, I've never heard of anything more or less. One of the factors that go into producing 3, well, this is kind of a theory too, but it's through observation and field research. The way you get all 3 surviving is if you have a female born first and a female born second and a male born last. Males are more aggressive in their feeding when mom and dad come to the nest and are fed. If a male is born first, they're very aggressive. I've actually seen this, through my spotting lens. Right here, these are very, very good. Better than binoculars if you want to look at the nest to keep it steady. You can look for a long time and hopefully your eye doesn't get too sore looking for that long. But that's why you get the 3. I've seen the older one, the older chick that's in the nest, who is going to be bigger, even if it's 2 or 3 days. They'll be more dominant, and they won't stop feeding or taking food from the adult until it's almost engorged itself, like falling over itself. I've seen it almost. Okay, that's enough. And the parents said, no, okay, you're all done. Okay, then we go to the second one, which is just patiently just doing its thing and waiting its turn. So that's how you get to the 3 as a theory. Is that exactly true? Who knows, I guess, but we can't put cameras in every single bald eagle nest. We can't tag every single bald eagle because we don't want to break the tree limb or something like that, and then that doesn't do us any good. So the gentlemen, the people that do tag them, know the tree, if the tree can handle the weight and so on and so forth. So some get tagged and some don't get tagged. All right. Okay. I'm going to read a little, the Covert 2010 Bald Eagle Report, Scriptures and Evolution. These are sort of some of our non-PC items that gentlemen that I go through and talk to every time something goes on with the crown bald eagle nest or the Rocky Hill bald eagle nest. When something, when did they lay their eggs? Mike, just on March 10th, the eagle was sitting in the nest. Now, when you come to around the date, they usually start incubating around the same time. If it's the same nest, they'll be about the same time. So you can go and we'll go and check them out with the spotting lens and go, okay, there's nobody sitting in the nest. They're still going back and forth and doing their thing. We've seen them go to the ground. This nest, a lot of this is turf farms. The Fairweather Acres is agricultural corn, soybean, wax bean, and turf that is bought and sold down here. And you've seen the bald eagle go down, get some hay and stuff, and go back to the nest for its bedding for the eggs and warmth and so on and so forth. So this is what he has put together. And a lot of it, I'm very much, we're both in the same line of thought and theory towards the bald eagle. Much of the following is not politically correct. It would not withstand peer review. I would not pass editorial scrutiny. Therefore, it is valuable, good, and undistributed underground. Scriptures with the lower cases are statements regarding an authoritative and definitive. So the following are scriptures. It is a list of cool things in no particular order that have been learned about Connecticut bald eagles since the late 1970s. If any of these scriptures are to be retold, any and all weasel words must be included. Otherwise, they will not be true. Mark Twain said, to get the facts first, then distort them. Bald eagles fly at 18 to 27 miles per hour ground speed in leisurely flapping flight. This is from reports from 1988 to 1990. So there's his thoughts on that flight speed. Bald eagles are not peregrine falcons. They're not coming down at whatever 100 miles an hour, whatever recorded stuff is. They aren't going that fast. So throw that kind of thought out. He's going with a lower airspeed than a lot of maybe say books might and stuff. When eagle nestlings get to be about 40 days old, at 7 to 9 pounds, the parents seldom bring the whole prey item to the nest. They eat part of it before they arrive because of the chaos when they get there. They just drop the remains and leave. Eagles take they want to be tagged about the 30th day. They grow very, very fast. Their body, their head, their talons, their claws grow like that. The thing that doesn't are their wings. I've been to a couple bandings and stuff. If you see their body, there's a very, very good, let's pass this around. This is a very, very good picture of a chick being banded. As you can tell, the body, head, and everything is about the same size, but its wings almost look decrepit. There's no big feathers or anything. It almost looks like something's wrong with it. Their beak is dull and useless. Their talons are dull and couldn't grasp, it wouldn't do anything to you. As adults, they tear your skin and go right through to the bone and stuff. So that's what he's saying, that when they get to that age, mom and dad say, here's the food later, I'm out. Floating slabs of ice on the Connecticut River in late winter usually predict the northern departure of the wintering bald eagles. Adults frequently depart before the immatures. Reason being, time to go start building the nest back, building up. If you look at, a nest year-round, come the springtime, just before they start incubating their eggs, it's pretty easy to see that upper rim that they've added that much more branches and debris onto their nest. As they say, that's why you get to the 4,000 pounds. Now, of course, who knows if that's right, did they get a scale and do that? I don't think so, but an educated guess, a theory, a thought. Incubating and brooding eagles are best watched from the highest vantage point, not necessarily the closest visual geometry is better. Everybody understand how that works? If the nest is 50 feet up, if I'm 10 feet off I can't see anything. I can see the nest, but I'm not going to be able to make any field research views of it. I can't see if there's any, I can't even see if there's an eagle in there. I can't see if there's any chicks in there. I don't know what's going on. So the closer isn't better as far as if you want to view eagles. Kind of what that is saying. Okay, 61-day-old bald eagle chick in Groton, 2010, fly and land poorly and cannot maintain altitude. It can be a very, very funny thing to watch fledgling eagles, immature eagles, try and fly, try and land, try and crash land, try and land on a branch. I've seen them where they hop out off the nest for the first time. I've seen one go upside down with its talon still holding on the branch and it's upside down. Flaps his wings to get back up. They're very, very silly and very not sure of themselves. Connecticut breeding eagles are probably year-round residents. Their behavior saves both time, no longer pair bonding period, and energy, no return migration. This has resulted in a very extended and flexible nesting season in the state. What he's saying there is, obviously, these eagles, we were there, Jen and I were there Saturday afternoon, later afternoon. One adult here, one adult here. So they're around year-round here in Connecticut, specifically for territorial reasons. If they aren't tending the nest, aren't around the nest, something else, another bald eagle might scoop it up real quick. So that they're here year-round, which is, as far as the whole migration. Now the immatures, who knows where they go? They do migrate somewhere. Like I said, don't know where. And I can't say, yes, oh, I know where they went. I saw one here. Okay, no, you didn't. See, Connecticut bald eagles have learned that people, most, are no longer a threat, so they are much more tolerant of our proximity. This change is a result of learning from parental behavior and learning through longevity. Eagles can't teach. Longevity is the part eagles can't teach. This is part of the un-PC thing that Michael has been doing this for a long time, and I've been doing for over 10 years now. The reason why he says something like that, this nest here in Rocky Hill was 2002. It was the first time. It was a young couple. The reason why I say young couple is because one of them, this is a third year bald eagle that has this stripe on it and a lot of the white coloring on the body. The 4-year-old has almost just this white stripe, and everything in the head is almost all white except for that white stripe. The tail is becoming also white. So you can tell that 4th year. They don't have a 4th year, but I've seen the 4th year. So there at least you have an age when they can start producing, as far as that goes. So we had a 4-year-old adult. They started here, failed. Miserable nest, miserable tree. Wasn't going to happen. The nest looked like a saucer instead of a cup. It should look like a cup. When they made the nest here, it's a cup. When it's there, it's a cup. So this didn't even get to incubating eggs. They come over here. This is a sandpit area. This river is a sandpit area because the state or Army Corps of Engineers dredged out the river, put all the sand and silt on this area. This is private land. This is where all the turf agricultural trucks, heavy equipment and stuff is kept. You see the difference? See the proximity there? That's 100 feet away. A gentleman that I know works for this company. Back in 2003, he was using a payloader, a big payloader, while they started to make this nest. So obviously they're well aware, this is a public road. Cars use this road, all that agricultural equipment uses this road. Been using it way before the eagles even got here. And they say, the gentleman said he saw them putting the nest together over a 2-3 day period, with him running a backhoe right there. I mean, right there. So this is where I feel, and so I don't know, does that mean I'm not real green, or I'm not an environmentalist, or I'm not a naturalist, or what? But this is what I'm talking about as far as what I know in this area for these eagles. There's heavy equipment down there all year long. This road is being traveled. There's heavy machinery moving around. There's noise. There actually is a motocross track right here, which was started as a worm farm, but turned into a motocross track, which is used quite often. So this is a noisy, heavily traveled. Then the summertime, you get boats up and down. So they've obviously adapted and are very, very, secure with this area. They started in 2002 and they're here in 2012. So are eagles, worried about us? As like it says, most people. I mean, there's definitely the share that might be doing something stupid, but they aren't too worried about us. I myself, I don't go down and every week go down and get as close as possible to see if I can get a picture or this or that. I still, give them their privacy and everything. Now, all the people that are doing their work in the agricultural fields, they're doing their job and they're just doing their thing, and that's what they're used to. So that's why Michael throws that out there as far as parental behavior and proximity to people and such. We can seldom find food garbage on the ground below eagle nest. He doesn't get discarded overboard, but ends up buried in the nest. Therefore, few scavengers are attracted. I suppose that adds to the poundage of the nest too, right? Just leave your stuff there. But that's very, very true. Everyone, regardless of gender, age, color, or creed, when seeing a perched adult bald eagle for the first time through a telescope, says quietly and slowly one of two things: holy shit, or oh my God. A one-footed eagle feeds on the ground or on a flat surface, not on a branch. January 1988, somebody observed a one-footed eagle, and which would make sense. It wouldn't be on a branch. The easiest way to eat for itself would be on land or a flat surface. Most Connecticut hatch bald eagles wander only short distances after fledging, probably less than 150 miles. This was simply done by leg and band data. When an eagle is banded, if it's seen with some of the spotting lenses and some of the cameras we have, if it's perched correctly, you can see the band. Every state has a different color band that it uses, along with a silver government band. So this is how he's taking that into 150 miles, even though that's definitely a general statement. The whitewash or eagle guano amount below an eagle nest can be a fairly good predictor of the number of nestlings. Chicks instinctively fire it over the edge. The nest remains unsoiled. The parents don't he used the word slice, near the nest, so the evidence in nestlings generated only. Jen and I did that this year with this nest. This nest was right on the river, very easy to see, plenty of viewing areas. This is in a swamp maple right now, which is almost in the woods. But once the leaves come out, you can't see it. So Jen and I would say, okay, well, one way to find out is to go and see how much bird duty's on the ground. So we went and go to the bottom of the tree with the nest, and sure enough, there's white dots all around 360 degrees around the nest. So we didn't know how many were in there. I don't know if I would be that educated to go, oh, there must be 2 because there's this much. You know? But it was simple enough said that there are chicks in the nest. So they did have a successful brood, and there were 2 at the Rock Hill nest. 2 chicks fledged this year. Now, next year when we can go and count the dots and see if it's the same amount. No. I don't know about that, but there's a good chance we'll do the same thing as far as a barometer to see if they had chicks or not. As I said, you get underneath a tree, you can't see anything in the nest. As a matter of fact, when we look at the nest before the leaves come out, we're out on the road to see them. So there's that geometry and stuff. Winter migrant bald eagles stick around the Enfield Rapids. Somebody mentioned the Enfield Rapids of the Connecticut River when the local degree days reach a total of about 2,600. Is anybody familiar with degree days? Okay, it's simple, how hot or cold the temperature is through July 1st. And once it gets up to that coldness, I guess you say is what degrees is telling us, or warm, that's when they'll come down from up north because the lakes and river up north will freeze, and they come down to the Enfield Rapids, which do not freeze because they're rapids and more moving and stuff, and feed at that area. Good chance you probably can go there tomorrow and you'll see at least 1 bald eagle if you go to the Enfield Rapids. I'm not going to put a wager on it, but I think it's very, very good odds you'll see at least 1, whether it's adult, juvenile, immature, or second, third year. This is difficult to try and figure this out. Unless you're real good at what you're doing, don't waste your time to say you saw an eagle. Let's see. Experts have all the answers. The bald eagle study group has no eagle experts. The more we study them, the further from the expert status we get. That's kind of what I'm talking about with, I don't know everything. I can't, everybody can ask some questions a little bit later in the lecture, and I'll see how good an answer I can get. In 2005, the 2 chicks at the Cromwell nest were deemed as hatching on the same day. A mystery. But in the bald eagle report, authority Gary Bartolotti has twice observed bald eagles hatching on the same day. That's just a question of thought. How did it happen? Why did it happen? How did they hatch? Did the eagle, become a chicken and pop out 2 in the same day, which is very different. There's a couple, I'll throw something in here later, but it's just a thought question, how that happened. We don't know. Maybe in later field research we can find that out. The feathers of an immature eagle are much longer than those of adults, therefore their wing loading is lower than adults. Therefore immature eagles can soar with minimal lift conditions when the adults can't. Simple genetics or how that works for them. Immature eagles, when they first are juveniles, they are bigger than the adults, male or female. They're bigger. One of the first times I saw one, even before this nest, about the same area though, there was an immature and an adult next to each other. I don't know what the heck was going on. What's that? But you could tell that's, as I said, the females are bigger than the males when they're next to each other. This is another instance where you can tell that the immature or juvenile eagle is bigger than the adult. Once it gets into the second, third year, they're about the same. That's because of the wing loading and the more feathers and the broader wings and so on and so forth that help them fly as early as possible. Bald eagles are long-lived. Banding records show that. Long-lived birds can adapt and adjust so environmental change better than short-lived birds because they have more extensive accumulated memory which can modify their instincts. Their offspring then learn the new stuff. That's a hypothesis. That's just what he thinks and that's what he believes goes on in bald eagles as far as that goes. Like I said, he certainly wouldn't call that a fact. He just calls it what it is. See, the following would not even pass mathematical scrutiny. That's why it's there. That's why it's here. There are too many variables, including shift luck. But to prove that Connecticut has not reached a saturation point for eagles, I compare the first 10 successful nests in the state with the most recent 10 nests. If the first 10 were the most prime, then the newest should be less prime, therefore less productive. It didn't happen that way. The first 10 nests, Barkhamsted, Suffield, East Windsor, Southbury, Knott Island, Middletown, Nipawg, Weathersfield, East Haddam, and Cromwell, produced 14 chicks in their first year and 12 in their second. The newest, we'll just get past the towns, the newest produced 17 chicks in the first year and 15 in the second. So, what theories do we have there? As Mike says, mathematical. Well, that means that, okay, we don't know what that means. So all the best places weren't taken, all the best places were taken later. Eagles don't know that. They just do their thing. So that's what Mike was saying as far as, the best places to, where should we look for bald eagles? Well, the best places are over here. You don't know that. Nobody knows that. So that's the theory of just, optimism or whatever you want to throw at it. So as far as the amount of bald eagles, are we at a saturation point in the state of Connecticut with these locations and stuff? Which, speaking of which, we can go right to, if everybody opens if whoever has one, the Bald Eagle Study Group report for 2010, and turn to page, I think it says, what would that be, 1, 2, I think 4, it has figure 2, that's 2009. But here, look at that, let me see, everybody on that page, those are 2009. I'm going, this is what I'm talking about right there. Farther, page 6, is that? That's 2009. Is that 2010? No, 2009, yeah, page 6. Oh, we're talking about that. Okay.
It depends which year you want.
But I think almost everybody has 2010 except for a couple of people right here. Okay, you see from 2001, 2002, and all the way down to 2010. Or we'll say at 2009 or 10. But you can see the increase of mated pairs. Mated pairs is obviously pairs are mated, active nest. See how the increase has gone over the years. Now, if you go by that, okay, there's a 9-10 year period, and you've had chicks fledged. We'll just go by chicks fledged. The number in 2001 was 3, and in 2009 it was 31. In 2010 it was 23. But just go with the big number, 31. So now, are we to easily assume that in that 8-year period they went from 3 to 31? So in another 9-10 years, there should be what, since that went up, 300%, 3,000%? Does that mean in eight years we're going to have 150 eagles fledging? Probably not. Where is that saturation point? And one thing, remember, people, we don't know if this is all the bald eagle nests and territories in the state. This is what just us human beings have seen. Are we seeing every one? We don't know. What is that saturation point? How many is it going to get up to? We don't know. Like I said, the Quabbin Reservoir, you have 2 nests a quarter mile away from each other. Well, geez, we get everybody a quarter mile away from each other on the Connecticut River. Holy smokes. We'll have sparrows, as many sparrows and robins and blue jays and stuff. We'll have bald eagles, everywhere. Yeah, I was driving down the highway again, got another bald eagle over there. You know, so where is that saturation point as far as that goes?
Would adverse weather conditions have a bearing on this? Because last year we had like 32 or 33 days of record temperature.
Right, now, the key record temperature in the summertime wouldn't matter so much. It's when they're incubating and trying to incubate and when the chicks hatch and stuff. I can go right to the Cromwell nest, which has been very prolific. I think in one of your I think in your reports, as Cromwell, 2005 had 2 chicks, 2006 had three chicks, 2007 2 chicks, 08 1, 09, 09 and 10 2, last year 0. Weather. It was extremely rainy, it was extremely wet, it was very cool, it was nasty, it was yucky outside around the time that these Cromwell eagles nest. Now that's one thought on that. I'll get right to the good stuff on the eagle nest, which is what my observations saw and which concluded, oh, maybe that's why they didn't. Starting in February, go down, we're looking at the nests. Are they building? Okay, got both adults. You can see both adult bald eagles on their common perch. Common perch is where if I was to go down to this nest or this nest, I'd go, okay, Jim, let's look here and here. Unless you knew they were there, we're talking we're a quarter mile away, you wouldn't, with your naked eye, you probably wouldn't be able to see unless you're really, really, really good. I got 20/10 vision, or Ted Williams vision, or something like that. If you bring your spotting lens, boom, you can see that. But their common perch, there was one eagle that wasn't on one. It was way in the back on the eastern side of the island. Well, I haven't ever seen one there. Okay, that's a little different, but you know, they're doing their thing and you see both the 2 adults, so everything's cool. And go back again and, okay, they're still doing it. Oh, it looks like they built a little on the nest. Okay, that's good. And then we're there once, getting closer right around incubation time when the weather's nasty and yucky and, okay, well, maybe they're, somebody's sitting in the nest. Okay, cool, all right. Oh, it just flew away. Okay, maybe the eggs aren't there. Maybe they're, be a day later. It's nasty weather, like the gentleman said. They're, much cooler than normal. If you're going to be sitting on eggs, whether that cool outside, you better be sitting on eggs and not flying off and doing whatever you're doing. So, we go back down the next day and, okay, well, one's sitting on it and, okay, that looks good. 20 minutes. Okay, whoop, took off again. Okay, well, that's odd. Okay, you go down again, and there's one on the nest, sitting there for half an hour. When the other adult comes in, jumps on one of them, leaves, the other one sits down, the other one goes over to common perch, and just chilling, relaxing there, feeding itself and whatnot. And then about 10 minutes later, the adult takes off from the nest. And the 2 birds, the other adult went to the common perch, and they started, as I would say, they started bitching at each other. Literally, doing the eagle talk and really not friendly stuff going on and everything. And so with this attitude that has been going on and the things we've seen and this kind of activity and stuff like that, and bad weather and so on and so forth, we go back down in, when 35 days later, which is the incubation period for bald eagles, around 35 days later, and to see what activity is going on down there. Ooh, there's nobody in the nest. That's probably not too good. And we go down a couple days later and still nothing. And we go, when you think if we're missing something or this or that or whatever, when they be a certain size, because we've seen them, they're still around the area. We haven't seen, they haven't disappeared. And then we go down later and still nothing. and nothing. And by the time you'll think something, when maybe we missed something or this or that, we can't get down there every day. We see the eagles down there, and we get a nice vantage point where they should be, where the Rock Hill eagles are, we can see the chicks. The chicks are at least this old, because you take the incubation time, they're usually about March 10th, March 14th or so. They should be 35 days out from that, okay? They should be hatched and so on and so forth, and nothing's going on. So my simple little theory on the cromwell nest, which has happened before and stuff, is I'm just theorizing that one of the adults probably passed, and there's a new adult that is trying to do their thing. Because with the simple thoughts, what I have is, well, geez, they've been doing great, very successful, lots of chicks and stuff. And this year, all of a sudden, oh, nothing. And of course, we're thinking when we're watching them, oh, well, they know what they're doing because they've been so prolific in producing young that, oh, this is their regular antics or whatever they do. So, okay, everything's fine, and you don't think anything of it. But then you look back on all your information and your field research you've done, and it comes up like, well, I'd say there probably wasn't there was a new adult. Then they just didn't get along this year, or didn't. You know, it didn't have the dark for a 4-year-old, but it could be a 5-year-old who first time trying it out and doesn't know exactly what to do. And it's with the Rocky Hill nest, the first year, their nest is crap, and it's in a tree with one broken branch, and they aren't sure what they're doing, which they didn't, and it failed. 0 chicks. Second time around, and ever since then, they've had at least one fledgling every year. So that's why the simple little theory on the cromwell nest last year, it didn't work. Like I said, Jen and I were there Saturday, and there's still an adult at the nest, and we'll see what happens this year. Yes?
Do they make a wife?
Yes, they do. But it's not surprising if the next year they'll pick up, another mate and do the same thing. This one, as I said, with the first year, the same 2 eagles, but they failed, but they tried again the next year and were successful. Now, with this year, they weren't making a new nest. There's a nest there already for the new adult to get into. So as far as a system or a rhythm or what they should do, well, all of a sudden I have to, and they copulate and pop out eggs, and what am I supposed to do after this? I don't, it's because they didn't, one adult didn't go through the full process of making a nest, and so on and so forth. Like I said, who knows? I don't know, but there's, I think, a very good chance is the weather, especially this spring when it was, we've got hats and coats and all sorts of stuff, and the wind's blowing, and they're up in Cromwell, they're up on the highest tree, highest cottonwood on the island, so they're totally exposed to any wind direction here compared to in here, which would be a little more sheltered and a little safer. So, but who knows? Yes.
Will the presence of Didymo, like they just discovered in the Farmington River, will that eventually have an impact on?
Say again, Bill.
Didymo, it's the rock snot they call it.
Okay, I've heard of that. I don't know. That would be something I would think as like with anything, say with DDT. Stop using DDT.
Probably gonna affect the fish. And then
Yeah, is it everywhere, or what is it? Would it affect the fish? Because it affected the reason the DDT was because of the fish. It affected the fish, and then it went on to the eagles. I mean, it didn't kill any eagles, the feeding on it, but it was just their eggshell wasn't,
well, it's going to interrupt the food chain. I mean, it's right now impacting the insects that are in the river, and it mainly manifests in the winter. And then it affects the insects, which in turn affects the fish, which will then probably affect.
Right. Oh, I haven't heard any theories or thoughts about that from anybody or anything, but that's an interesting thought, and I'm sure that'll come to somebody's attention. That's the thing. It won't happen for another few years, and everybody will go, well, maybe it's this rock snot stuff and everything.
Have they had successful pairs on the Housatonic?
Housatonic. Yes, there are, here in Southbury, and Bridgewater, and a little offshoot, where's that, in Seymour, as far as that goes. Now you have, the Housatonic was all the way, way up in the mast and stuff. Now, are there none the population of us humans is not great along the Housatonic here. That's a place where, like you said, where you think there'd be possibly more eagle nests along that, but we just haven't seen them.
I'm just curious, because we're not supposed to consume the fish from Housatonic as humans. I just wonder if it's affected the eagles.
See, there's when I'm saying about theories and thoughts, facts, we don't know if that's a fact. That could be it. Do the eagles know that? Hey, don't go to the Housatonic River. Go talk to each other. Or something. We don't know that. No, stick with the Connecticut River. You got some on Thames over here and stuff like that. So we'll stick to that. But I said with the cromwell nest, that's just a theory that you throw out there. This area also is a huge Connecticut River playground. Everybody, this is very, very low water right here where it separates. Actually, the main channel is on the outside. So boats and stuff can have all sorts of fun. Jen and I took a walk along the river's edge here, and you look down there, and there must have been 50 boats down there and stuff. So there's the tolerance of the eagles and stuff with human beings. Do they really give two dooties about us being where they are? I mean, I suppose it would be, as long as they aren't shooting at them, and climbing up the tree and tearing the nest down and stuff, do eagles, are they worried about or cognizant of what we do or who we are, or what we care about? So like I said, as far as the PC and the, don't go anywhere near them, oh my gosh, they're going to pass over and die if we get 10 feet from them. No, they're not. They're like I said, they're plenty aware of their surroundings. They know where their best, habitat is. As far as something, their first nest was here, okay, inadequate tree. They went here, they were here from 03 to 08. Big, huge nest right underneath, off-season. This is, like I said, private property. You got guys that own the property that shoot their guns down there in a rifle range and stuff. The nest in Hartford, it's up here at the Hartford dump. Everybody knows about the Hartford dump. It's turning greener now. But this is right where the Hartford Police Department has their shooting range, which is, I think I haven't seen it myself, but 200 feet away. So we're just making plenty of noise there. The Hartford Nest here, Brainerd Hartford Nest. This is the trash and energy plant. You have 18-wheelers coming and going through there all day long. But they're doing fine. They had a chick this year. Yes, sir.
A new nest on the Winslocks Canal. They closed it this spring to let those birds get established.
Right.
Keep the people out of there.
Right.
And once they fledged, they opened it back up again.
Right. That's their prerogative. It's private property. They can do what they want to with it, and that's up to them. Here nor there. Like I said, whatever you want to do. There's plenty of other things, and like I said, you don't need to be on top of one to see one. The spotting lens here. This is the cheapy jeepy, the Space Master, Bushnell Space Master. Tear it up, bang it up, do whatever you want to with it. It'll work. Okay, you got the expensive ones that are $2,000 that I wouldn't do that to because what might happen. But so like I said, with something like that, that's a cheaper one, 20 to 45 zoom power and stuff like that. You can get one of the Zaborskis that is 80 power that will look like from a quarter mile away it'll be in your face and you'll be able to see the yellow eyes and the yellow beak and the nostrils on the beak and stuff like that. So it's everything will work. Binoculars are fine, but then after a while so but it's whatever you like, whatever's in your budget and so on and so forth. Okay. Okay, this is one of the things we was talking about. There's a little thing. There are now 6 reasons the Ellington nest and/or tree aren't there. Michael lives very close to Ellington, and he observed an eagle doing something to a nest. The 6 reasons why the tree is there, the nest and/or tree are not there. The nest blew down. The nest and the tree blew down. The tree was cut down. The tree broke and was cut down. All the trees were cut down. No, it's still there. No, just a simple little, everybody has their, it must be this, it must be, and there's one of the names to it. Measurements are taken of the chicks on banding day for Bartolotti's protocol to establish their age in days. We have determined that a gap in chick's age of 5 days or more means a missing chick. Either the egg didn't hatch or the chick died. Eagles lay eggs at 1 or 2 or 3 day intervals. In 2009, 2 nests had 3 chicks plus a big gap. Nipawg number 2, Nipawg Reservoir, had chicks of 44, 50, and 51 days. The Lieutenant River nest had chicks of 28, 36, and 38 days. There are 5 preposterous possibilities for the 6 and 8 day gaps. They started as a 4-egg nest. Post-egg laying populations were viable. 2 different females, bad math, bad measurements. So there you have what, is it this, is it that? We don't know. Like I said before, were the female chicks born first, so that enabled them to, live? Or was it, we don't know. That's what Mike's saying. We aren't sure, but hey, we had 3 chicks and happy day and good reproduction for the eagles. Now, Mike, you gentlemen, sir, you mentioned the Windsor Locks Canal. This is the way Mike feels. Now, these are just opinions. No harsh, no real. The Windsor Locks Canal should remain open to the public year-round, but the landowners and guardians probably will never do it. The words "the bald eagle" will be substituted for "liability" in their public statements on why the towpath will remain closed from November to April. Just an opinion. Nest trees should be climbed and the nest closely inspected quickly after. These are some of the things Michael believes as far as where money should be spent as far as the state goes, the DEP, and so on and so forth. So I'll skip that because it's technical, a little more technical stuff. The bald eagle should be, another opinion, the bald eagle should be removed entirely from the Connecticut's endangered, threatened special concern statute. It was downlisted in July of 2010 to threaten status, but political bullshit and statistical manipulation kept it covered under the law. The bald eagle in Connecticut is common year-round and has a very healthy breeding population in the state. The legislatures have ignored their own rules and definitions. So will I. But these are, like I said, these are just thoughts of a gentleman that's been doing this for a very, very long time. You can agree with him, you can't agree with him. He loves the bald eagle, but he just is very realistic. And like I said, with me doing these 2 nests and how prolific they have been and what they've dealt with as far as human intervention and noise and stuff like that, I think they're doing just fine, unless something along a chemical line or us doing something stupid to them biologically or chemically. I don't believe the bald eagles are going anywhere as far as in the state, except becoming more and more, abundant. So that's my belief. Like I said, this is because this is what I see. I don't, it's nice to see the bald eagle in pictures and nobody around and stuff like that. But up in Alaska, as far as that goes, you have bald eagles that are at dumps, like crows, like seagulls. We all went up there and said, "Oh, look at all the bald eagles on the dump." Wow. I'm not used to seeing that, but that's where they feed, and they're predators, but they're also scavengers, and wherever, just like any animal, including ourselves, wherever we can find food is where we'll find food. As I said, with the abundance, the gentleman said about the weather. We had a little harsher winter. We had a lot of snow last year, which kind of actually, I think there's more. Has everybody noticed there's more chipmunks than ever? One of the reasons why. But anywho, as long as we haven't run into any like an ice storm years ago. That obviously brought all wildlife and stuff down because the food supply and all that kind of stuff went down. We haven't had any crazy. We've had a little heat, but not Dallas, Texas, 40 days in a row over 100 degrees. If that happened up in here in Connecticut, wildlife would be disrupted. Fortunately, up in, Irene did a little bit in the tropical storm, so that didn't do too much, but it definitely affected plenty of things down here. This whole area is a floodplain. This whole area. This is all the Irene. This was all the way up to wherever and stuff. All this is all water. The whole entire place. We've got up to 25 feet of flood level in Hartford, which this whole place was inundated. So as far as if there are any coyotes, there are coyotes down here. If they had any homes or something like that, they had to come up to higher ground anywhere above this area. So did that affect anything? Well, probably some species, but not the bald eagle. They're up in the tree and scavenging for dead fish and whatever else they can find. There's no problem with that. But until you get something that, we've been fortunate in New England as far as weather goes, not to get something, 30 days where it's 20 degrees or below, which will affect, everything. Let's see. The Bald Eagle Study Group is mentioned a few times above, but this time does not officially represent that group. However, if you have bought into everything here within, you could be an adherent to the radical fringe. One last recommendation: all eagle chicks should not be leg banned until day 60 or later. Then we would be able to take very new and different mathematical measurements like the bite strength, flight distance, and glide ratios. So like I said, he has these thoughts on the bald eagles. Very wise man. Funny thing about him, I've known him for 10 years. I've actually visually seen him 3, and I've talked to him on the phone 500 times. Those funny relationships that you have. Old as far as, and that would be the only way I know about any one eagle in the state of Connecticut how old it is. Would be this one that was in Rocky Hill, because I saw it when I was 4 years old, and I assume it's still the one that's nesting at this site here. Why they changed nests from there to there? Who knows? No, obviously you didn't get away from the heavy machinery, and you didn't get away from the motocross track, and you didn't get away from the boat traffic. That's the reason that, and there's some nests, the Middletown nest, there's been 4 different nests they've made. There's three nests, and, like I said, we don't know why they changed. Got something else to do, something better to do? Come on, let's make a new nest. Okay, fine, let's go. We don't know why they do that. So now one of the curiosities that we had when we went down to see the nest here, the bald eagle was at a common perch, but one of the neighbors that lives down here, we always see him all the time, and bald eagles here and here, and he said there might be a nest on the other side of the river in Portland over here. Okay. Well, okay, now there's something that's secondhand that I wouldn't confirm that or anything like that. He said he might, because I see him over here all the time. But he isn't, with the leaves on the trees and such like that, you can't make a common, unless you're real good at it, or you get a right angle at an angle, the geometry thing, to check that out, or to be 100% sure.
What do they feed on?
They are the top of the food chain. So that means everything and anything. Their main diet, if they can do it and it's plentiful and stuff like that, would be fish. Bald is, sea eagle, fish eagle, as far as I know.
Do they steal animals, goats, little babies, or?
Oh, anything. I've seen them bring back muskrat to the cromwell nest before. I've seen them going after waterfowl, going into the river and stuff. One thing they do work together in getting food. As far as like a common merganser is a diving duck. Bald eagle comes along, swoops down, merganser goes underwater, comes back up, second eagle, food time. So they do that kind of networking as far as feeding. Yes?
I was fishing in the Farmington last spring, and I saw an osprey come down from one side of the river, scoop out a trout and start to come up, and an eagle came from the other side of the river and took it from him. It was the most intense thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
It was scary.
My grandson and I fish Congamon just after ice is out, so as soon as Massachusetts stocks their trout, and we also fish West Hill, we witness that quite often. And they sit up in the tree and they wait for the osprey to dive and get the fish, then they go right after them.
This is excellent stuff. This is the stories that I take this is what I listen to from other people about stories about what goes on. I have a gentleman who I know well, said a bald eagle was just flying along down the river, and it was close to an osprey nest. Said there were two ospreys, one was in the nest and the other one came, the eagle didn't see him, the osprey came down, whacked him right on the backside. Said the bald eagle went and stayed for an hour and a half on a branch and just stayed there because the osprey had hit him because he didn't see him.
They'll pick that fish up before it hits the water. Once the osprey drops it.
Right.
All right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Top
Because the
of the
osprey will
chain.
come up, he'll go up, and then the eagle will go right after him, drop the fish, and he'll pick that fish up before it ever hits the water.
Yeah.
And they'll go
Amazing.
to the tree. Now, that's a Suffield. Those are the birds coming from Suffield. These birds over here are the ones coming from Colebrook.
Very good.
Down to Westville.
Right, we got
Because we follow them right down the river.
Colebrook nest right there.
My grandson and I watched the two fledge in Colebrook last year. Every time we went over fishing, we watched them on the shore. And then this year, they only fledged one.
Has anybody been to this, the Sago Dam nest? There's a nest there.
That's the one where the eagle came from that I saw.
We see them going across the dam quite a bit.
Now, unfortunately, they were unsuccessful this year and stuff.
But Colebrook had
good,
good.
excellent.
And then you did say, we watched them after they fledged, just absolutely, they look like a skydiver going into a tree.
Oh, yeah.
They just crash into the tree, and the branches are going every which way, you know? It's the funniest thing to see.
Right.
They try to
It is.
right themselves, then the next thing you know, they can't right themselves, so they fall down on the shore, and then one of the parents will come down there and sit with them for a while. We watch it for 2 or 3 weeks. And it's-
Landing on the river's edge, same thing, they come and land on the river's edge and face first into the sand, flopping all over the place. Very good. Any other questions, please?
I just want a little story.
Yep.
We have a camp up in Maine on a pretty remote lake, and we have eagles there all the time. There's 2 or 3 islands that are in front of the camp, probably a quarter mile away. And we get a chance, we have telescopes, so we get to watch them a lot. And sometimes as adults, sometimes as young. I just didn't know the difference between immature. I know what immature looks like, but as far as the years is concerned. But anyway, we have when the water goes down in the summertime, the lake is subject to evaporation. We have freshwater mussels that are along the shore. And what's really funny is to see the immature eagles down there, and they're feeding on the mussels. But I don't think they like the mussels. And they're like yelling. The adults are not very far away. They might be, 200 or 300 feet down the shore.
Yeah.
And they're just letting these immature ones cry.
Right, oh yeah, they don't.
No sympathy.
There's
Eat those mussels.
There's different characteristics to each fledgling and stuff. We've been down there, and some of them make all sorts of noise and stuff. The immatures and fledgling, and other years they don't make any noise. I mean, I've been watching one where, as they say, I think the adult gave the fledgling out on a branch a piece of food, and then it dropped to the ground. And it just making a whole bunch of noise like I'm more than the adult. You drop your food right down on the ground. It's in the wooded area and stuff like that.
What happens to an eagle chick when it dies?
That could be simple as birds are nasty creatures amongst themselves. Anything will eat anything. Great black-backed gulls will eat another shorebird. Eagles will eat anything, any other bird or anything like that. Birds are very, very, aren't nice. As we say, oh, don't worry about the eagle. Oh, protect the eagle. We should do this and this. They'll be just fine, kind of. All the birds are very, the fittest will survive and stuff like that. It's very tough. And as I said, if the male chick is born first, it might just kill the other chick just so it gets the food. I don't get it. There's no respect or no, oh, you're my sibling or something. No, it's survival of the fittest. Yes, sir.
We fish northern Ontario in the summertime for walleye, and there's just eagles everywhere up there. We take the young walleye and just break their neck and just throw them out and then whistle to them, and they come swooping down out of the trees and grab them right off the water. And they have a cleaning station out there on a little rock island. And you could set your watch by it, because they watch for the boat to go out, to dump all the fish innards out on that island, and then the seagulls are the first ones in, and they better get their grabs first, because the eagles are right behind them.
Right,
and
right.
There's no question about who's going to get the fish.
Right, and that's the way it is. Survival of the fittest.
Just nests everywhere up there.
Yeah. Like I said, they had a couple pictures I looked at today and stuff, and there's in this area right here, there's 25 eagles, adults, juveniles, and all that stuff on the ice and so on and so forth. So, they're around and they do very well as long as they snot rock and stuff like that doesn't bother them. I don't think we're. Yes, ma'am.
How do you ever ban the chick? You don't climb up with a ladder?
Yeah, there's a photo of a gentleman, rope. He uses rope and climbs a tree, has a potato sack, and puts the one or two or whoever eagles in the sack, lowers it down. He stays up there because he doesn't, then lowers the sack down by rope, and he stays up there so he doesn't need to go back up and down again. And the people down below are, band them as you pass that one around with the eagle. Right. And they're very, they might make a little, but they're very weak. They aren't strong at all. So as the gentleman, he just puts them in his lap, and the bird isn't going to go anywhere. And the adults are up top, just circling around, doing their thing.
Do that?
Excuse me?
And the adults let you do that?
I don't do it. I don't scratch a claw or anything like that.
I would imagine they're trying to attack you.
After the first, here's one to throw at you. Okay. This what you call it, eagle nest was in a very, very big cottonwood. Gentleman, funny, 175 pounds, was able to climb it. So maybe they left the nest to go to a smaller tree that the climber wouldn't be able to climb, so he wouldn't be able to ban the eagle. Yep, that's what I mean. But maybe another 5 years, this tree might be strong enough, and they might be going, oh, well, we better get out of here before they can climb the tree and grab our chicks and tag them again. I don't know, but that's. Why you can, you don't need to, some you do, and, some trees you can and some trees you can't.
But they don't actually attack the band, though?
No, I haven't heard of any story from anybody that they've actually attacked or gotten really ornery. I mean, even when Jen and I were going around the base of the swamp maple at the nest and looking at the guano on the ground and stuff, the eagle was, the adult eagle was making a call and stuff. But, we just looked around and then we were gone and stuff. And then the DEP came in after I called them up and said, okay, well, this is where it is, this is where the tree it is. I left 6 paper napkins on the path that was created by, this path right here was created by ATVs, which makes it very nice and easy to go through all the vegetation and stuff in there. And put 6 napkins on there and said, take a right, and about 250 feet off to your left in the tree, that's where they'll be. So they went over there and documented that part and discovered, as I told them, and said, no, I don't think you'll be able to climb the tree just because of the thickness of the main trunk that goes up and where the nest is sitting on. And so they discovered they couldn't ban them, but they know, the documentation and where it is, and as what I do and Janet does for the Bald Eagle Study Group and the DEP. Any other questions? Yes.
Well, I have an anecdote.
Okay.
I knew the former owners of Hilltop Farm in Suffield, and there were 2 nests up there. And every time I drove in that driveway, one of those eagles would come off the nest and fly over my car. I don't think it was 30 feet in the air. And I got real close looks several times at this bird. It was just absolutely amazing. So they're curious. They're
Yes.
real curious. And of course, actually, we were right at the edge of their so-called territory. So naturally, they're going to come out and take a good look at it.
Yeah.
Make sure that we want them.
I've heard plenty of stories with people watching Suffield nests and other nests where you just you get an adapter where you can put this right on your window, passenger window, roll your window down a little bit. It clamps right on, and you can sit right in the car and watch it. There's a gentleman that is part of the bald eagle study group has had that happen many times. They'll be looking, and that you can tell when a bald eagle's looking at you pretty easily. He had that same thing.
That's there. You'll never forget it.
Well, everybody would know their eyesight is very, very, very good.
Right.
I mean, we're looking at them, we see them, they probably can see our, how dilated our eyes are and the
I'm
color.
sure mine were as big as his.
Right.
I have another question.
Yes.
Do you have any statistics on the weight of the fish or anything that they pick up?
One of the things they say is
Likely to pick up?
half their weight is what they can handle.
So you're talking what, 20, 30 pounds?
Well, their average, this would be an average, 9.5 pounds. Some are going to be 12 pounds. But as far as that's their lifting weight. Now, as far as taking a small deer or something bigger and that's on the ground where they don't need to lift it, they can definitely, I don't do this. I probably shouldn't tell you guys this. I went on YouTube today. I never go on YouTube, so this is very tough for me to talk about. I don't use the computer that much or anything, but they had some really wild videos of other, not bald eagles, but other types of eagles around the world that are taking, wolf, coyote, deer, all this kind of stuff. And like I said, those things are going to be more than half their weight or whatever. But they'll be taking, like top of the food chain and stuff. They'll take a fawn or deer easily.
Pick up 30-pound salmon and fly over.
Yeah. Right. But like I said, how far they're going and so on and so forth. But that's the theory on what it is. I'm sure nobody's ever gone up and necessarily.
Actually,
Stop.
wait.
Yeah, George, write that down. Okay, thanks. And see what the next bald eagle brings in. So that's why it's
If
all.
there's carrion available, though, they'll take that
Right.
to their advantage.
Right. But like I said, they won't be necessarily lifting out off their nest, but you get a few family members and stuff like that that'll come in and join in and help out with the feast and such.
Right.
So.
We fish squabbin, and I know they put carrion out there in the wintertime on the ice.
Right.
It's roadkill, so.
Right.
And plus, it's easier to do a bird study on when you put carrion out there on the ice.
Well, quite a few years back on the Connecticut River, right here. This is Canadian geese in the wintertime. Thousands and thousands and thousands are here and stuff. And you'll have the immatures that are coming down and some of the adults that'll be right in this area and stuff. And one year, I didn't know it till afterwards, somebody put some carrion in this area and stuff. Jen, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 13 eagles over there. Wow, oh my gosh, they must be feeding on the they're feeding on the carrion, not the Well, less energy spent. Like I said about the migration, why do they need to migrate back and forth if they don't need to? And the food supply is here. And like I said, if there's easy food supply, they'll take advantage of that just as well as any other animal will. Any other questions?
Are there any other eagle species in this area, other than bald eagles?
The only thing you might, but this would be very rare, would be a golden eagle, as far as that goes. Somebody was out on the Cape and said, yeah, I saw a golden eagle out on the Cape and stuff. I said, I don't think, well, when I looked at the thing, that looks very close to a golden eagle. As you probably saw, a juvenile, first year, immature eagle. I wouldn't doubt that at all, so at least you could say you saw a bald eagle. The golden eagle would be very rare, and that would be here during the wintertime, not through summertime. Yes, sir.
We saw a golden eagle up in Suffield, and it sounded like a giant chicken clucking. And I went online to the eagle site, and they played the sound, and that's the sound it was making. It sounded like a giant chicken clucking up in the
I've never
And it
heard
was up
that.
on the mountain, and it was in a tree. It just took like one half a step, fell down the face of the cliff, and then
No, I didn't.
but it was huge, and we didn't see it. We heard it first, and it sounded like a giant chicken.
Right. Now, sir, a lot of people familiar with the eagle call? It's a very, a very whistle, high-pitched whistle. If you've heard it once, you'll pick it up very, very quickly, but it's something hard to, I do that, bird watching and stuff with the different sounds, but I can't even get close to a bald eagle. But if I heard one, I'd recognize it right away. And that's one of the things about any birding or anything like that is picking up. And by the way, if you're doing a bird count or you ever hear a bird, hearing a bird is just as good as seeing a bird. It counts as an observation. You're not hearing it, as far as stupid information goes. Any other questions? All set? Thank you very much, everybody, for showing up. My helper, my main stuff. You're welcome.
We are a nonprofit, and we're just starting out, but we'd like to give you this decal of the Hartland Land Trust.
Oh, thank you very, very much.
On notebooks, or a refrigerator, something like that.
Very good, we'll do.
And we'd like to thank everybody for coming out. We accept donations if you feel like it, and we'd really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
For the Hartland Land Trust, and I'm a member of the Great Meadows Conservation Land Trust, that's any money I get for whenever I do these talks, lectures. See, I'm not used to saying lectures, so it's too formal. You throw a little donation in there. And thank you very much for coming and appreciate it.
And help yourself to refreshments and snacks, please. Thank you very much.